What's up guys, and welcome back to a new video on my channel. Welcome. Let's dive into it and let's hear what I said in yesterday's video.
We're patiently waiting. I hope we come a little lower. We break a little bit. The ideal scenario, I'm telling you right now, would be that we exactly hit this range between this low and this low. We don't exceed the low here. We don't hit a lower low, but a slight higher low.
Guys, I told you yesterday what the ideal scenario would be in the case of Bitcoin. And what did we see, guys? Come on. Let me get out the 2-hour chart. And guys, we hit here a lower low, but it was still higher, right? Exactly in the range I told you where it would be perfect to see. $112,500 roughly. So I also told you that we don't want to load up on this leg, which we see right now. We want to load up on this leg here because this leg has the fewest downside potential. But now, we know the level is also limited. We can just set our stop loss at $111,800. It's still a limited downside, but I'll be patiently waiting for a slight pullback because we might also hit, come a little lower to the $112,200, $300 level. Still one more time. You always think, that's the thing about crypto. You might always think now we hit the low. This is the low. This is the low we saw. No, this is the last low we saw because you see the massive divergence, right? You might load up here already in heavily. And then you see we dump again. And now you might think, okay, hey, this is the final low, guys. But I'm telling you, it's possible that we even hit another lower low before we then break out, okay? And what also you see is that this resistance level is a decent one. We hit it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, actually 4, 5 times, right? 5 times is the time when we hit this exact resistance trend line. And what we're looking for now is maybe lower low, or maybe we retest it, we set a little bit a higher low. That's when we want to load up because we know the more you test a resistance or support line, the more likely the chart is to break out this level, okay? So if we see Bitcoin reaching the trend line again, what we will do is we'll be patiently waiting because the more oftentimes Bitcoin hits the trend line, the more likely it's to break out. It is to break out because there is no one to sell anymore, right? Here, we hit the top, everybody sold. We hit the top, the people sold. We hit the top, people sold. We hit the top, people sold. And now, the more we hit this line, the less likely there are people to sell, right? Because the demand is way higher as we always approach this level of trend line. So that's my take on Bitcoin. I'll be waiting for, either what we do, the thing is, the good thing about it, we have a little downside potential, right? We just wait for the level of maybe 113,000. You can already start now loading up. Depends on how high leverage you go in. Now it's a 1.6% risk, right? 1.6% risk. You put your stop loss at 111,700. If we, hit a lower low, then we also, that's my opinion, we also might go lower to the 109,000 level, okay? 10 to 109,000 level. And I don't want to be in this trade to, see Bitcoin dump another 2,000-3,000. That's why tight stop loss with a higher leverage, that's what we can do on this trade. We might even wait a little bit for, if Bitcoin hits the 112,300, 400 level, guys. I'm telling you, that's where you really want to size in because the downside there, you can even look with 100x leverage, you go in on 112,300, 100x leverage, stop loss at 111,700, right? 50% downside potential for your trade. But guys, the upside is huge because this might really be the last time where we hit a higher low, okay? Before we then, from this point, break out to the 128K plus, which means 14% on 100x leverage, which means 1,400%, right? That's a 15x. Okay, and the 15x, you know, even if you just go in with $100, you make 1.5K on this trade with the risk of risking $50, right? This is a very good chance trade. It's an, you know, in my opinion, even the upside, you know, this is a 1 to 28 times trade, right? We can check it again. Let me check. Where do I find that? I normally don't use that, but yeah, I know it. There is. Well, where's the long? Here. It's already here. So you see, 112,300. Okay, all the way to 128K plus. You know, the 135,000 is still my main goal. Actually, I mean the level I'm looking for. With a, you know, oh damn, no, it's too much. You see, downside. This is a 23.6 chance risk, how do you say, chance risk ratio, okay? 24 approximately. That's a huge risk, and that's huge actually potential with the chance of succeeding in 80%, 80 times out of 100 times. You will succeed with this trade, and damn, you will make a banger, guys. So I hope you take the advice, you know, you listen, and you see what I'm doing here, because we're exactly calling the bottom here, which is very high, very likely to happen. And that's the take for Bitcoin. On Ethereum, that's even more beautiful, guys. That's even more beautiful. I told you yesterday also about the Fibonacci levels, right? And at the level of 0.5, we exactly bounce back up. Okay, we exactly bounce back up. Now look, here's the thing with Ethereum, right? Just because Bitcoin now might have found his bottom doesn't mean that Ethereum also might have found his bottom, because what I also recognized is the Bitcoin dominance. You see this divergence, this massive divergence, which also means that the Bitcoin dominance might rise a little bit again, right? Bitcoin might have a momentum time, you know, for the next 3 to 4 days. Bitcoin pumping to 120, 25K, and we see Ethereum going a little lower during that time. So Ethereum could also go to this area of $4,000, $3,950, right? As Bitcoin dominance is rising, which means that Bitcoin gains more attraction and more value, right? More people are going into Bitcoin, buying Bitcoin. And then what I expect Bitcoin to do is, you know, after maybe, 61%, somewhere around there, we come down lower and we see Bitcoin dominance dropping to roughly between 54 to 50%. That's actually my goal for end of August. That's what I see, and that's what I like, right? The setup is nice, looks good. And for Ethereum, that's why we're waiting for Ethereum. You know, we can also start loading up now. The downside potential is also limited, not as limited as with Bitcoin, right? We have now an 8% downside, roughly 7.5. So we want to wait, and maybe starting from the 4,130, 40 level, okay? You can consider loading up slightly, right? Because if you load up here, for example, and you'll buy in more and more, for example, 25%, starting from 4,140, 25% in case we hit a slightly lower high, right, at 4,100, then you will go in at 4,015 with 25%, and the last one is at 3,960, for example, with another 25%. So your average would be, let's say, around 4,030 maybe, right? First, second, third, and fourth, maybe 4,020. So from 4,020, okay, this is just a roughly guess. You have a downside now of 3.5%, okay? And don't forget, you might have a higher downside here in Ethereum, right, in altcoins, but your upside now, and you know, even if we pump earlier, right, if you know you're in with 50% of your position size that you want to size in, and we pump, that's good as well. You know, you cannot lose anything, stop loss, break even, that's it. So based on that, 4,000, I said yesterday in yesterday's video, guys, watch yesterday's video, because I'm talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum and how high Ethereum can go. And based on that, from 4,014 average entry, then if we, you know, see it as we come down to the level of 3,960 again, that's a 37.5% pump possible, right? At 5,500 level. 37.5% on 100x is 3,750%, which means that's an 38x. Okay, guys, a 38x you can do on this trade. Bitcoin is a 14x. This is the 38x, which means almost triple. Okay, almost triple. So putting in 100, making 3.5k, 4k. Okay, that's what you can do with Ethereum. But if you put 100, for example, on crossed leverage, you will risk then $400, right? You don't risk 50 like on Bitcoin. You risk 400. So that's why the risk to ratio on Bitcoin is way better. But I like to diversify, right? We put in a bag on Bitcoin. Bitcoin, the level is nice. $50 risking, you know, for the upside potential of 1,400. So yeah, you know, if you go in with $100 with $1,000, you risk $500 for the upside of $14,000. Okay, just Bitcoin hitting 28k. You know, I'm still of the opinion that it can definitely do 135k, and you know, if Bitcoin pumps, you know, you want to be in that trade. It doesn't matter if Bitcoin hits 125k, 135k. You want to be in the trade when you see Bitcoin at 113k. I'll buy myself a bag, and boom, you see Bitcoin exploding. You want to be in these trades, guys. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss out on these ones, especially if you see these things going exactly how you say it, right? If you listen to my videos, you'll see I exactly predict. You know, I just showed you between these levels. You know, a dump, and then we might, you know, fake it out a little bit, come higher low, and then boom, we explode. Okay, we see it surging, and you know, depending on that, saying 112.4 to 135 is a 2,000%, right? A 20x. So now you have a 20x with a 0.5x downside potential, 50% downside to 2,000% upside, guys, with a chance of 80% plus to succeed, in my opinion. Okay, so this is exactly the trade you want to take. You can also buy now. I'm telling you, if you say, hey, I'm not that fan of risk, you know, I don't like to have this stress to look at the charts all day. Hey, that's totally fine. You can just buy yourself a bag now at 113,400 with a downside of 1.7%, maybe. You know, you put it roughly a little bit below the low, right, at 1,500, 1,600. So you have a 1.7% downside. On a 20x leverage is 34% downside potential, right? On a 20x leverage, you'll have a upside of between 260% to roughly 400%, 260% to 400%, which means 3.6x to 5x, okay? And you're risking 34%, right? That's a beautiful trade. I mean, you can go in with size on that one. That's the nice thing. Maybe that's what I'm about to do, right? Because that's maybe what I'm about to do. I'm DCAing in 50% of my position here, waiting for it to pump, maybe coming a little lower again, then putting in the other 50. Because yeah, why 100x actually? Why 100x? I just bet put my whole portfolio, or my whole amount that I want to put in the trade. So on a 20x, 1,000 would be 20,000. You know, that's the thing on a yeah. If I could put 1,000 on a 20x, or I could put $300 on a 100x and have 30,000 position. You know, there's the thing. I'll see what I'll do, and yeah, I'll keep you updated. And for the ton trade, guys, ladies and gentlemen, that's beautiful as well. And ton is an altcoin I really want to have a bag of with high leverage. There's actually a bag I will buy in with 50x leverage for sure. Because ton, we see this strong support level here, okay? The strong support level here, strong on the 5th of August, right? Before we pumped to $3.65, right? From $3.13. Now we're back at $3.19 to $3.26. That's the higher low we're looking for, guys. That's actually the higher low we're looking for. You know, we didn't exceed the Fibonacci extension level, so we didn't, you know, that's the nice thing now. You can also put your stop loss below $3.13 and you have high limited risk, right? On a 10x, now that's, yeah, on a 10x it's 40%. Okay, 40%, but easily in the next run up, $4.10 to $5.20. That's easily a range, you know. On a 10x it's 60%, so it's, you know, it's 250 to 600%. That's what we like to take, right? These trades is what we really like to take. These are good trades, high potential to succeed. I'm telling you, in that box, I'll be loading up on a 50x leverage, probably on cross, you know, and I might, yeah, why not? I might put some more money to just get the liquidation price lower, and that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. That's what we're about to do. Okay. Another challenge, the 3K account to, yeah, another 20K plus on the next 2 weeks, right? That's what we'll do. And I hope you enjoyed the video. That's a quick update on that. Nothing too crazy, just an update when I will go in, when I will size in bigger and step by step. Solana, the thing is, Solana already hit the low, you know. I might load it up Solana because Solana didn't have a crazy run. It didn't have a crazy run yet. I feel like there's more potential to come. You know, there's more potential, more upside potential. This is a, you know, I didn't talk about it. This is a beautiful bull flag, guys. Do you see that? A beautiful bull flag. 1, 2, 3, you know, 3 times tested the level. We might get the fourth time, come lower and boom, explode. Okay, that's really what I'm looking for in Ethereum and Solana. We see the same pattern, guys. We see the same pattern. You can see the same bull flag happening here, right? It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome to see, you know. And yeah, I like the setup. I really like the setup. We hit exactly we saw it exactly hitting the Fibonacci retracement. Okay, so now we're looking for it retest, you know, come down a little bit, dumping down a little bit, and then breaking out this level, retesting it maybe, and boom, exploding. Okay, so we still have, you know, when you see the setup and when you know this setup is an 80+% chance to succeed, don't rush in. Okay, there will be still enough times for you to buy. Okay, for example, if I rush in now, we might come lower. Okay, I'll be, you know, of course you want to nail the trade. Being in at $180, going down to $177 on a 100x will cost you minus 180% of your portfolio, right? Or yeah, of your portfolio basically, or of the amount you put in the trade. Okay, so whereas if you put the amount here at 177, you'll have a lot more to go, right? To go up. So therefore, I like to nail the trades and be patient because we might hit this level. It looks like we break out. We come slightly above this level, right? And then breaking down again and then pumping up, you know. So breakdown, we have a chance to go size in. Then we break out. We think that's it now. We hit, you know, we retest this level again. That's another chance where we have to size it, where we can size in, and then we pump, right? We can buy a small bag, you know. I don't want to say you shouldn't buy, especially if you're in low leverage. You should definitely buy now so you don't have a lot headache. I would say stop loss, yeah, below 100, yeah, stop loss at $173. Stop loss at $173, maybe $172 if you want to make sure. And the rest, guys, I'm telling you, Solana has a little bit more downside potential. Yeah, it has a downside of roughly 4.5%, okay? 4.5%, but if it pumps, and it will pump 200, I'd say 200, you know, 35 to 290 or 85 is definitely doable, which means that, you know, 30%, 300% to 600% as well, like ton. Okay, so if you want to have an estimation, I'll put in, yeah, maybe 20% Bitcoin, 20% Ethereum and 60% split on Solana. Maybe 25% Solana, 35% Ton, because I really like Ton. I want to be in Ton. You know, there's a lot of good things coming up for Ton. So that's my take on that, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, leave a subscription, and write a comment. Share it with a friend so they don't miss out. And thank you for watching. I hope I could help you. See you soon. Take care. Stay healthy. And see you on the next one. Bye.